Frank's Red Hot is the perfect blend of flavor and heat, so you can use an entire bottle to make recipes like buffalo chicken dip or buffalo nachos, or even things that don't start with buffalo. Frank's Red Hot. I put that on everything.
Hi, Craig.
Hi, Emma. Oh, wait. What the fuck? Emma? What's going on?
Surprise.
What is this?
I snuck right in.
Well, where's Jeff? What's going on?
Don't worry about Jeff. Don't worry about him right now. He's fine.
We've done 181 episodes, and it's always Jeff and I. What is going on?
Don't worry about Jeff.
I am worried about Jeff. Okay, fine. Jeff is taking the week off. He told me you know what? Jeff puts a lot of time into this website and this podcast, so Jeff deserves a week off. So this is Podcast versus Everyone, episode 182. I'm Craig Powers, and not with me as always, actually someone different who has been on the podcast before, and that's with me is Emma Weightman, one of our other writers at Kook Center. Emma, welcome.
Thank you. So happy to be here.
Yeah, this is I appreciate you subbing in at the last second. It'd be kind of weird if we didn't have an Apple Cup recap, even though, does anyone really want to hear about that fucking game? I don't know. I know I've Husky fans have been up in my mentions for days, and I've had to mute conversations because they are a bunch of assholes, unsurprisingly, because I managed to point out that they rushed the field after making fun of us for a year for rushing the field. But hey, such is the nature of the Husky fan. Am I right?
Oh, it's always one finger pointing forward, three right back at you.
Yeah. And, honestly, there's two fingers that I like to point at them generally. But yeah, so that game was a piece of shit. I mean, the first half was wild and fun. But the one thing we thought that WSU had going for it was the defense, and the defense got absolutely shredded. Like, we have rarely seen a WSU defense get shredded. It was honestly almost a Wolfian-esque, defensive performance in how the yards per play and the total yardage that they gave up. It was just so bad. And that was after coming in as what we thought was one of the best defenses in the conference and one of the top, maybe a top 20 defense in the country, just get absolutely shredded. That was such a bummer. It kind of reminds me of the Lee Chapel Cups where we thought, hey, our offense is great. We could score on anybody. And then UW shuts them down. So that I guess this is just how the Apple Cup goes. This is why we decided we hated it after so long. But yeah, I don't know what it was like watching in the middle of the night in Chicago, even if you were able to.
Yeah,
but
I was.
It was, yeah.
I will
so
say
how was that?
It afforded me a certain luxury. I don't exactly remember a lot of the second half. Because when it starts later in the evening, you have so much time to drink beforehand. So I will say I was a little, as my mother would say, in the bag for the second half of the game, which made it a little more enjoyable because I just got to throw my face in my hands and then chug the rest of my beer. And I was watching at the brewery that I work at, so I was not short on beer at any point during the game.
Well, that's good. And yeah, I think that was the case for many people in Pullman as well. We were going hard all day. So maybe, hopefully, things are a little hazy in the second half, because the second half wasn't fun. Now, the first half, well, it really followed the script as a lot of games that have been recently for the offense. The first half was really impressive. They were able to move the ball. They were able to score points. But then they just stopped scoring points after the first half. 6 points in the second half. Should have been 8, but Cam just forgot which hand to put the ball in when he was trying to go across the fucking goal line for a 2-point conversion.
Oh, that happened? I didn't. I thought that didn't. I thought that I hallucinated that.
Yeah, that would have at the time, I believe, tied the game. Would have made it 35-35. Now, the one play I want to bring up in the second half is WSU was having such a hard time stopping UW. They got fortunate, got a fumble recovery, they got an interception, but there was one time they were in the second half where they actually were going to force them to punt. And UW on a 3rd and 15 throws a post route. There is minimal, if any, contact on the receiver. The ball is airmailed 10 yards past the receiver, and the refs decide it is pass interference, automatic first down. UW goes in to score after that and take a 2-score lead. Actually, I think they were able to push it to 41-33. But so at the time, it was 35-33. WSU could have gotten the ball back, chance to go take the lead. They didn't get the ball back, and then UW kind of controlled the game from there. So that was a pain. That was in the third quarter. There was some really impressive plays in the first half for WSU to kind of hang with UW's offense, but it's overall just super disappointing that WSU's defense, which had carried the team for much of the season, just could not get it done against Michael Penix and UW's receivers. They just really were open all the time, it seemed like.
The penetration was simply too much from Penix.
There was just not enough penetration from WSU's side. I'm going to stop this line of jokes right here.
Yeah, that's fair.
But
I regretted going into it, but I couldn't. It slid right out. Stop me right now. You're never letting me back on the pod. I'm ruining everything.
Oh my God. Yeah. So I don't know what much there is to say. Like, fuck the Huskies. Like, it was just, and plus, like, yeah, just, like them rushing the field. Like, we knew they were going to. They have before. They rushed the field on a 2-10 Paul Wolf team one year. Like that. Like they'll rush our field. We'll rush our field to their field when we get the opportunity.
It's just it's what you do.
And I see, like, a lot of the UW replies to me are like, "Oh, Cope. Well, oh, you're mad about this? Oh, wow." I'm like, I wasn't mad about it. Like, I think it's cool. Let's rush each other's fields. I just think it was.
Don't be shady about it.
Yeah, don't get all high and mighty.
Do it with your whole chest. That's always been my issue. Just don't hide behind what you say. Say one thing with your full chest one time. Like, it's the holy ground. Anyway, we could go on and on.
Yeah, we could, and it was so dumb. Like, and it was a pretty weak ass storm. There was actually a lot less UW fans than are usually in Pullman.
Yeah.
Maybe it was because we didn't know. We usually know the Apple Cup time, even when it's a Saturday game. We usually know the Apple Cup time well in advance, and obviously not knowing it till 7:30, I think prevented quite a few people from going. I mean, now the Coug showing was good. The student showing was really impressive, and I know they also sold tickets to I had a friend, like, I know my friend Michelle and Colin. They bought tickets in the student section. So you were able actually to get once the other tickets sold out. And so the crowd was really good, and the energy was really good from the crowd in the first half. And so all that was good, but just, that fourth quarter, coming in, it's a 35-33 game, and then it just goes off the rails. In the fourth quarter, they get that last running touchdown to make the score look much worse. which was a pain. And I think they were over 700 yards. I don't even want to look at the stats. I don't care. I don't want to look at the highlights. I don't want to look at the stats. Like it's just one of those games where like it's just so fucking annoying. I don't want to have anything correct. I just want to be wrong about everything. That'd be better. Like just to be wrong about everything.
Well, and I think you were right too. Is it is easy to look at that and be like, just like old times. You know, it felt sadly familiar.
Yeah, it's like we thought it should be a close game, and it was for most of the game. But then the offense just kind of did what it normally does, and then the defense didn't do what it normally does, which is shut down teams. Obviously, there was just now 2 offenses that WSU's faced that have kind of mowed over them pretty easily, was Oregon and UW. But with Oregon,
the Oregon game,
Oregon, they were a little better in the red zone. UW was kind of scoring at ease in the red zone, and so it was just maybe WSU was keeping the ball for longer, and that was preventing UW from scoring. But it's just another Apple Cup loss. That's after the game. Like, when you go to the bar after the game, we go to the Coug. I went to the Coug and I went to Etsy Bravo. It's like Coug fans we weren't like super down. I think we just didn't want to really talk about it, and we were just like, let's go. We're in Pullman. Let's go drink some beer.
Let's just be
whatever.
in Pullman.
We lost an Apple Cup. Whatever. At least our hands aren't frozen off. Like it's fine. Like it was kind of warmer than we thought it would be. It did. The night before it kind of snowed a little bit. I walked from the Coug downtown to meet someone in kind of that, like going down the hill in my Vans.
I was going to say, weren't you wearing Vans?
Yes, of course.
Of course.
The finest snowshoes are Vans, of course. They're a lot of traction, very waterproof.
As
really good stuff.
As the Midwest transplant, I can confirm that.
Yeah, just good stuff, and great for dance on the dance floor at Etsy Bravo as well.
Oh yeah,
so it's all good stuff. Now, so Apple Cup. Whatever. Have we talked about it enough? Like I feel like I'm just like filling out time here. I don't think you guys really want to hear about it. Like it's kind of annoying. Like I don't fucking care. Like
I think we're all ready to put it to bed.
I talked about the 2 things that I know people were pissed about. Cam not extending his arm out.
I mean, there was some fun stuff, I think. Like the fake punt was fun.
Yes. Okay, let's talk about
that. I will say the fake punt was really fun. The 50-yard field goal was fun. Like there was some fun stuff in there.
So the fake punt, awesome, because Deion Henley was a former wide receiver, so they've obviously been waiting to use him.
Yeah.
All year, and they deployed him. A huge moment. They were able to go and score right after that as well. Like that was really cool. And then for a couple seniors, Dan Henley and then Robert Farrell, that 4th down play when Cam scrambled and found him for a touchdown. That was, it felt like it was going to be just a back and forth game, after that. But yeah, in the field goal, the door, hit barely making it. He hit it exactly 50 yards, but we also had the revelation that when some UW's like dog pack, like the version of Zuku or whatever, kind of tried to make fun of him for celebrating like he won the Super Bowl or whatever. Like first, it was his career long, and it was an Apple Cup. But second, like
there's so much more behind it.
So he pointed out to them, which he was very nice about it, that there is money raised for a children's cancer charity every time he makes a field goal or an extra point. So he gets excited regardless. Now I'll say like the UW fans that were making fun of him kind of turned it around, and they did show some grace and apologized and said, oh, that's cool. Yeah. Because if you're going to still shit on someone after they raise money for childhood cancer, then you'd be really truly shitty. Now there was
that's
that
a
UW
bad
fan
look
that
even for Huskies. Yeah. Like you can't really come back from that.
I mean, we did have the Husky that decided to search on my Twitter, find my pinned tweet, that talks about walking in to my wedding reception with the most beautiful girl in the world, my wife, and then commenting, "Where's the beautiful girl?" That guy can go fuck himself.
I was wondering if you were going to bring that up.
I guarantee it's a guy. Yeah. No, I am. Actually, let's make sure we have.
I had some choice words for him.
Let's make sure we have, so other people, if they want to, chime in.
Go bully him. Bullying is okay in this circumstance.
Bullying's okay. I can't view the tweet. Shit.
I can. Hold on, let me grab my phone because I'm not blocked yet, which is funny because I put in my best effort.
I can go. It's weird. It usually show. I think if I look at my mentions, it's like my mentions are just out of fucking control, so I can't. Really look.
I got it. It'll pop right up for me. Give me 1 second. Unless it's gone. No, it's not gone. All right, everybody, podcast listeners. I'll give you 1 minute here to pull out whatever Twitter platform. If you're on a desktop, if you're on your phone, if you have a rock and you have a pen to write it down on. His Twitter user is at CAUST_24. I can repeat that for those in the back. That's at CAUST_24. Bullying is okay.
Yeah, so totally out of bounds. Like if you want to call me tell me to cope or call me whatever the fuck people were calling me on Twitter. I muted the notifications. It was literally like waking me up in the middle of the night. I mean, not like I went to bed that early that night, but like I should have been going to bed, but it'd be like ping ping, so I had to like mute the notifications on it. But yeah, so that was just, and then insult to injury, flying back from Pullman.
Oh.
We got the fucking UW plane. Like, are you kidding me? Alaska Air. Are you kidding me? And
that's
also,
one of those circumstances where you can see the universe laughing at you.
Yeah, and also that meant like there was a bunch of the kids on the incoming flight. It was the kids coming back for school from Seattle, and so they had to take the UW plane to fly to WSU the day after we lost the Apple Cup, coming back for school,
going back home, going back to Pullman in that godforsaken plane.
I had to get on, and it was those stupid turboprop planes that they're supposed to be getting rid of, and I thought they had already gotten rid of them, but I had to fly them both ways, and they're just not my favorite thing. And plus, there was a guy that was even slightly bigger than me sitting next to me, and we just looked at each other like we didn't even put the armrest down. Like I probably didn't even need to wear a seatbelt because we were just crammed in like sardines. And they did it. It's Horizon flights are supposed to have free wine and beer both ways. They didn't do the free wine and beer. I should have taken that when they didn't do it on the way there. Like I should have known that WSU was going to lose the Apple Cup. Like that was just a bad sign.
That's a bad omen.
Not getting the service. You know what sucks when we landed in Seattle? When we pulled into the gate, we were right next to the Cougar plane.
Ugh.
Like, come on. It was in service today. Just like, come on. Just send that one to Pullman. Get out of here. Oh, points off, Alaska Air. Points off.
And you should be a valued customer for Alaska Air for the amount that you've flown.
Yeah, I know. Well, I don't fly it as frequently as much anymore, but I used to be a gold member of Alaska Air, and they did treat me usually pretty well.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the Apple Cup, it was nice to. It's nice you lose one here in Pullman still. Like had a good time with Pullman. Well,
because I remember you went last year, which was a much more pleasant Apple Cup, and you were like, well, I don't know, like I have to leave. If we lose, like I'm gonna have to leave and walk through all these Husky fans, and obviously that wound up being a fantastic experience. But
yeah, that was amazing. But I haven't seen WSU hasn't won an Apple Cup in Pullman since 2012, and before that it was 2008, and before that 2004, and before that like 1990 something 2 or 4 something like that.
Likely before I was alive.
Yeah. So yeah. Thanks, Emma.
Sorry, if we're just dunking on you, I gotta slide.
So like so I was living in Vermont in 2012, so I didn't go to that Apple Cup, and then so I was at the 2008 the Crapple Cup, the the worst football game ever played, probably. But WSU won. So I haven't seen WSU win Apple Cup in Pullman. I mean, no one has for 10 years, but I haven't seen it for 14 years. So I was kind of hoping, to be able to celebrate Apple Cup in Pullman. But the good thing is, we're WSU fans. We're used to some disappointment. If you want to read Bryce's wonderful article, his graduation opus today from Bryce, I encourage you to read that. And that definitely talks about how being a Coug kind of treats you, or kind of helps you learn how to deal with disappointment at times, especially a Coug sports fan. So yeah, and that's, we were all fine. We're like, oh, UW fans couldn't even talk shit, and most of them didn't really try. I mean, I was ready for them too. I kind of maybe yelled at one UW fan who I thought was talking shit to people, but it ended up being something else, and we talked and it was fine. And he was actually an Idaho alum, which was weird.
Huh.
Yeah. So I was a lot nicer to him when I found that
Weird,
out.
a fan of a school where you didn't go to? That's so strange.
I was in a bit of a mood. This guy, me and another friend of mine, a different Jeff, we're just jamming to some emo, some Taking Back Sunday in the Coug, and he came over and he gave us a wanky motion. It was a WSU fan, and so I just I laid into him oh, you're so cool, making fun of us because we were enjoying our music, and I made him feel really bad, and so he bought. Once again, I bullied someone into buying me a beer for the second football weekend in a row at the Coug. Although
maybe that's where I get
first. Yeah,
maybe. I'm excellent at that.
He was bullying me first.
No, of course.
And come on, and I told him dude, I'm in a fragile emotional state right now. You can't come at me. And also, I've been drinking, so I'm a loudmouth. So you got to watch what you're doing.
Listeners, I will say if there's one thing to take away from this segment of this episode is that really sometimes bullying is okay.
Yeah. Especially when you're being bullied. Bully back.
Yeah.
As someone who was bullied when I was a kid, now as an adult, if someone tries to do that shit, I just don't put up with it. Because when I was thinking back as a kid, you just think about, you fantasize about punching back, smacking them in the face, whatever. Yeah, just punch back. That's what I've learned.
Although don't physically hit people, you could get arrested. But be mean.
Be mean.
Be mean.
Make them feel bad for what they said.
Be a little mean. I'm okay with that being on the internet. Be a little mean. I think I tweeted at one point, I think we've all earned the right to be haters sometimes.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, so...
when people are mean, just, boy.
So we lost Apple Cup.
Sad.
So we're firmly in 7th place in the Pac-12. That is we can't go to any of the top bowls, no Vegas Bowl or anything. So it looks quite likely that WSU will be in the LA Bowl, which took the place of the old Vegas Bowl in that it was a mid-tier Pac-12 team versus the champion of the Mountain West. Mm-hmm. So that is what it is. It is number 6 in the Pac-12 versus number 1 in the Mountain West, which, Boise or whoever Boise plays in the Mountain West. Do they have Mountain West Championship? I don't. So it probably Boise or Fresno or something like that. So we'll be playing one of those exciting teams.
Yay.
That and honestly, the Mountain West tends to win that because it's one of their best teams and whatever. But so it's also on December 17th. Now, why, as they're 7th, that's a 6th place? Because it seems really likely that the Pac-12 will have 2 teams in the New Year's Six Bowls. Now, if there's a terrible scenario, which is kind of the most likely one, is that Utah could easily beat USC. I think it's probably a toss-up, that game. But if USC beats Utah, it's very likely they'll be in the college football playoff, which means the Rose Bowl will be open, which means the Pac-12 will take the highest ranked, the Rose Bowl will pick generally the highest ranked Pac-12 team left. And right now the third highest ranked team is Washington, 1 spot in the college football playoff rankings behind Utah after that just got released tonight. So that would mean that Washington would probably get a Rose Bowl invite if USC goes to the college football playoff. So Washington fans are big USC fans. Now, we have other reasons to root against USC. Like, yeah, cool, a Pac-12 team going into the college football playoff. Fuck them. They're leaving. I don't even care how much money. It's probably a negligible amount of money, honestly, that WSU gets out of this. Fuck that. Like, I want USC, go Utah, go Utes.
Yeah, I have a lot of feelings about it. None of them are good.
Yeah, go Utes in the Pac-12 championship. Lock UW into the Alamo Bowl or whatever. And then lock USC into like the Peach Bowl or whatever the fuck they would go to. And then so that means, WSU will get moved up to the 6th line if there's two NY6 team, New Year's 6 Pac-12 teams. If not, there's a couple other ESPN bowls they could go to. But it seems like the LA Bowl is the most likely. So if you're kind of want to start looking at tickets, but I'll tell you, I'm not going. Like December 17th is kind of harder. It's like closer, and you're not like in that window between Christmas and New Year's that a lot of people have off.
Yeah.
I know my company, nice, they give us just that week off. But yeah, so like it's just harder. I already got tickets to Emo Night in Tacoma on December 17th. So, I'm booked.
Yeah.
I'm booked. Sorry, LA Bowl.
I'm bummed about that too. Yeah. I definitely can't go to that one. And my dad and I didn't get to go to a game together this year. So I was kind of hoping that we get to go to a bowl that like he and I could go to, which obviously I did not need the entire Washington State football to base their season around my availability. But they went to Wisconsin. So I was like, okay, you guys are clearly factoring me in a little bit. So could we, but oh well. My dad and I will get to a game next season, I'm sure.
Yeah. And, I think that if that happens, I think it'll be like a decently attended bowl for WSU just because there's a lot of WSU alums in California.
Yeah.
So that they'll probably go.
And it's relatively easy access in terms of like hotels and flights and stuff like that.
Yeah,
and it's in the same time zone for a lot of you.
And I think a lot of people want to see the new stadium, and so they see that as a reason to see the new stadium. That's when I've talked to people, that's been the biggest allure. Because honestly, LA's so like spread out and stuff. It's like not that much fun to visit. It's just like you rent a car, but it's like an hour to drive between places. And
oh yeah, no,
it's not the greatest city to visit
unless
you're like in a specific neighborhood. But like SoFi is not really in one. It's.
You said something to me once about, oh, you're probably going to move there, and I was like, I would literally rather grate my forehead with a cheese grater. But that's just me. I also it just seems like an intimidating little place, and I have the self-esteem that I have right now, and I don't feel like LA. But I mean, if we go down to LA and we win, maybe that'll change my tune. Maybe I'll like LA as a place.
Yeah.
But also as a Portland person, I feel like I'm predisposed to hate LA a little bit. So
yeah, and I think that it's interesting that I don't like hate LA, but like it's just it's so weird to say you visit LA. I've definitely visited and stayed in downtown LA, and that's fine. But then it's like people be like, we're going to LA, but it's like they're going to Long Beach or they're going to Orange County or they're going like Pasadena or whatever. Like it's not like. Now, if we were going to Pasadena, I would love going to LA. Like if we were in the Rose Bowl, book me that trip.
Obviously,
definitely would go there.
You'd have to pry me away.
But this is not Pasadena.
No.
It is. It's only 5 miles from LAX, so pretty good. I'm sure I'm sure they built hotels around it when they built the stadium. But
yeah, and obviously. There's a part of me that's like, oh, I'm going to be in Chicago in December where it's cold, and people that I know are going to LA in December where it's warm. So I'm not smacking it entirely, but
I have talked to people that usually go to the bowl games, and this is kind of one that they're not super excited about. So, but maybe they'll end up getting one of the other ESPN bowls, and it'll be like Shreveport, Louisiana, or something like that. I don't know.
I would go to Louisiana if it meant I got to go with my dad. He's going to be so embarrassed that I'm saying all this.
I know. He's going to be just embarrassed, and both excited for you and embarrassed that you're subbing in for Jeff on the podcast. But yeah, so bowl games, whatever. It's just it seems likely that USC, even if they lose, will end up in a New Year's Six bowl.
Probably.
So yeah, I don't think they'll fall down so far for losing their conference championship game. But go Utes.
Go Utes.
Go no Pac-12 team once again in the college football playoff, because honestly, USC barely counts. I don't really care. Like, whatever. If it was, I don't know. And also, it benefits UW if USC wins. And I just, it's hard to root for anything.
The enemy of my enemy is my friend in this scenario.
So, Utah?
Yeah.
Yeah. That kind of, it's painful to say too, but, yeah. So yeah, we've headed to LA Bowl, Apple Cup, fuck that. But hey, if we're going to a bowl game again, that's fun.
That's so fun.
7-5. But yeah, so what I'll do now is we'll take a break, then we'll come back. We'll talk men's hoops. We'll talk women's hoops. And man, an exciting week for volleyball.
Woohoo!
So we will be right back. And we're back. So usually Jeff says that, but I forgot to tell you. So,
that's okay. I was about to ask you if I was supposed to do it.
Yeah.
And we're back.
But,
there you go, Craig.
We're back. So yeah, obviously, Emma, I think you know this, like what we do out of the break is actually we don't talk about anything that we said we were going to talk about. We talk about what we're drinking.
Yeah.
Which is the most important thing. The most important element of podcasting is drinking while talking. Just that creates quality podcasting. So Emma, what are you drinking?
Okay, I've been nervous for this all night because I was unable. So as many of you might know, I work at a craft brewery here in Chicago. So I was very excited, like, oh, I can drink one of my beers and like talk about it on the podcast. A Coug-owned craft brewery. So big deal. And then I unfortunately realized that I don't have any of our cans at home.
No.
I know. So I could lie to all of you and say, well, right now I'm drinking our Lion's Den, which is a hazy IPA. And it's like citrusy and yummy and good, but I'm not an IPA person. So that's line number one. Line number two is I don't actually have it with me. The only beer that I was able to obtain, I was like, Craig's going to be so mad at me. So I'm drinking a Corona. And I was like, I have to, like, thank God I'm not looking you in the face, because I just don't want to see the disappointment fall upon your features. Luckily, I wouldn't be able to see your forehead because you're probably wearing a hat, but I can just envision it. And so I am, in fact, drinking a Corona. I don't have a lime, so it's even sadder. But that was the only beer that they had at my 7-Eleven that I went to before this.
They only had Corona at the 7-Eleven?
Well, and then they also
they didn't even have like Anti-Hero or something.
They did,
like
but I was not in the mood for something heavy. It's sad that I know, Craig. I know. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Pod. Everybody. I am no Jeff. Especially
you could have spun it. I'll spin it for you.
Mm-hmm.
Craig, since you got married in Mexico and I was there, I thought it would be cool to do a Mexican beer. And so I got Corona.
You know what? They did. They literally had Tecate, and I almost grabbed that for the bit. But I grabbed the Corona. You're right. Mexico is so fun. I miss it. Let's go back.
Yeah. I'll try to get married again.
I mean, you could do like a vow, you do a vow renewal.
Just do a vow. No, don't find another wife.
No, keep your lovely, lovely wife. But
okay. I'll do that.
She likes the ocean and the vibes. She'd be down.
Yeah. Just vow renewal every year. Just got to renew them again.
Just making sure everyone knows.
Yep, everyone has to go to our wedding every single year in Mexico. This is your vacation now.
I would love that. It was my first big vacation out of the country too, and I had saved up a little bit and I had gotten some money for graduating college, and I was like, man, what better way to unwind and like really go. It was the first time. Yeah, it was the first time that I really went somewhere and like we're allowed to travel other places, so
yeah.
Such a good time. But yeah, I am drinking a Corona. So sorry for you.
So,
I am one of the craft beer lovers, I promise, but that's what we have right now.
But you have to give a review of the Corona.
You're right.
Give us some tasty notes here.
It tastes like a Mexican lager, which I have excellent news is that it is in fact a Mexican lager. We do a Mexican lager at our brewery in the summer usually, or spring, and ours I think is a little better because it's just a little smoother. But so. I'm not mad at all. Yeah, I hope it's better. It's definitely better than Corona, I promise. But if I'm drinking like easy beer when I'm out, I'm just a Corona girl. I don't know what to say. I'm giving it a 10.
Well, we don't rate, but if you want to give it a number, that's fine.
Yeah, I'll give it a 10 out of 10.
But here's the thing about the Corona versus Tecate you were talking about. Usually if you go to a bar, Tecate is at the pricing level of all the cheap American beers.
Yeah.
But Corona, they want to call it a fancy beer.
They charge you an extra
it a little
buck.
bit higher. Charge you extra buck. Like,
yeah.
Come on, it's the same shit. It's just in a glass bottle.
Well, and for those of you who weren't in Mexico, first of all, sorry. Second of all, I can't shotgun beers normally. It's just not a skill that I have, which is embarrassing. I think it's because I chose the wrong college. I think I would have had a better experience shotgunning beers had I gone to a better college. Nonetheless, we were shotgunning Tecates at pretty much every available minute because they had them in every hotel room. And then also the big one was at your wedding reception, and that's where I learned how to shotgun a beer properly.
Yay. Yeah, every room had Tecate and Tecate Light. I always wanted the Tecate Light because it was so hot. And I was like, it just tastes like water. I think I'm getting hydrated right now.
Yeah.
So you
were placeboing yourself into thinking that.
Yeah. Shotgunning Tecate is, yes, good memories.
Steph is still the reigning champ, I believe. She was abused.
Stephanie is an incredible beer chugger. Very, awesome. Very good at that.
She gave me some pointers.
Yeah. She is skilled. And we did shotgun some beer before the Apple Cup. Thanks to the
Craig. What did you shotgun?
We shotgunned some Spotted Cow for the vibes.
God, if I could have gotten my hands on Spotted Cow, had I been given more time, like if I had known beforehand that I was coming on this podcast, I actually think that I would have been able to track down some Spotted Cow.
Yeah, you're not that far from the Wisconsin border.
I would have borrowed my roommate's car and been like, Ian, I'm really like, I'll pay for the gas. I'm really sorry, I have to whip it up to Wisconsin really quick.
It's like an hour drive to the border.
Yeah.
And we literally, as we know, the first gas station across the border, tons of Spotted Cow, cases of Spotted Cow everywhere.
Oh, I miss that minivan every single day.
Yeah, that was a fun minivan. It was good times.
Man, are we giving all of you FOMO? I really hope we are.
Yeah, there was definitely not a lot of Spotted Cow drank in that minivan because you can't do that.
That's illegal. We didn't do that at all. Who said that? I would like to talk to their good because it's not true. What are you drinking, Craig?
Well, thank you for asking. Now, Emma, so I also didn't put enough, like my usual amount of effort into the beer tonight. Because I just had a lot going on today. But I have I had in the fridge one of my all-time favorite beers, and I know Jeff especially has done this brewery a million times on the pod. Because it's one of our favorite breweries up here in the Pacific Northwest. It's Holy Mountain Black Beer, which is just a dark ale, a light 4% dark ale with a ton of flavor. Can crush all these. They only make it in the winter, like the fall and winter. It's one of my favorite beers because you can just crush them. A ton of flavor, very roasty, tastes like a bigger beer than it is, has good body at that 4%. I love it so much. So I drink like cases of it in the winter because it's just so delicious whenever it comes around. It's just delicious beer. I don't even know. They just call it dark ale, so I don't even know exactly what the beer style is. I just know it's delicious. And, around, one of the benefits from COVID times is that they started canning it and they haven't stopped canning it. So, they just, whenever they release it, they can it. Before you had to go get like a crowler or a growler from either like a beer store that had it or go to Holy Mountain. But it is delicious. One of my favorite breweries. I hate to repeat breweries. But I just didn't have the time tonight to scour my cellar. I wanted to find a Chicago beer, but
I was gonna say I'm kind of shocked that you didn't grab a Chicago beer.
I think Corona is actually it's like a Chicago distributor that brings it into the U.S., so it's kind of a Chicago beer.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
God, Brent is gonna listen to this. Brent is my boss at the brewery, and he's gonna be like, "Craig does a better job at talking about beer than you do. I think that we need to evaluate your employee performance."
Well, I think Brent already knows that because I've talked to him about his brewery and stuff before, so that was cool. But yeah, like but you have come a long way, and also I've listened to you talk about the beers you guys actually sell, and it's a lot different thing when it's not just a light Mexican lager. So
yeah. Our beer is really good. If you're in the Chicago area ever, please come say hi. Cougs get 20% off.
Burning Bush Brewing.
Burning Bush Brewery. Plug. Free advertising. Free meaning I work there, so.
Yeah, we usually do that with Coug breweries often. So Coug Brewery in Chicago, if you're ever in Chicago, if you live in the Midwest, check it out. I actually knew Brent in college, and so.
Yeah, Brent's.
And then.
Good egg.
Yeah, so beer. Yay. Woo.
Yay, beer. Notorious beer fans. Wait, Craig, rate yours out of 10.
Oh, fine. It's a 10 out of 10. It's one of the greatest beers of all time. Get the fuck out of here.
You're welcome for this new idea.
It's an Amanda.
Oh, well, you should have just led with that. Then I would have got it right away.
In your face, see whatever the fuck your Twitter handle is.
Also, CA something _ 24. I will say also, as a person who was seated in that hall that you walked into, like, her dress was amazing. Everybody looked so good. Everybody was so happy. Like, that guy's just jealous, I think.
Yeah, he just wishes he was there.
He wishes he was there. He wishes that he could ever even deign to speak to someone as wonderful and beautiful as Amanda. And that's all I'm going to say, because I know that she gets embarrassed about being talked about, just like my dad.
Oh, she doesn't listen to this or read anything I write.
Well, then let me count the ways. You know what I mean? But anyway.
So that, and then the tomato bisque as well. He's probably jealous that he didn't get to
try
that
my
soup.
God, that soup. Oh my God, I forgot about that. I wanted to take a bath in that, literally. It was so good. Memory unlocked.
Yeah.
God, I'm going to dream about that soup tonight.
Yeah, it was delicious. Like, it was definitely like, I've talked to people about my wedding this past weekend, and they were like, that soup, oh my God, like, what even was that? Like, it was so good. I'm like, I have no idea. We didn't go down to Mexico to try. We just like picked a menu.
I will say, well, especially because they were giving you the runaround through so many, like, the wedding was this day, and then it was going to maybe rain, and Mexico totally shuts down when it rains, and we were all trying to explain we're all from the Pacific Northwest. Rain is not going to faze us. A little drizzle, that's going to be nothing. Like, it's fine. But so you guys got shelved around and it wound up being so fun. I'm just glad that we talked the people at the reception into letting you put your playlist on.
Yes.
It's not just at the coup, you guys. Craig's influence spans countries.
Well, my sister and I stayed up like until about 4 hours before we had to go to the airport in Mexico, like in my dining room, like making that playlist the night before we left to Mexico.
You guys, I was getting texts being like, "This is so fire," and I was on the edge of my seat, and it did not disappoint. I have to say, it was probably one of the most fire wedding playlists you could have. It was the perfect mix between surprising stuff and like the classics. Anyway, it was an Amanda out of 10. We'll give it that.
We took
the playlist was an Amanda
out of 10. Yeah. So yeah, and it was, we took requests and everything. So we implemented that, and then some of the requests Steph and I decided did not get to go in. But anyways, no one wants to hear about this. I think Jeff and I also talked about this for a while, like when this actually happened. But Emma hasn't been on since then.
And it's one of my favorite things to talk about.
But we should talk a bit about
some of our other favorite things. Yeah, we really should.
Because you haven't been on to talk about the Wisconsin weekend, and that was one of the great weekends of all time.
Wait, you mean the last time that we played football?
Well, there's been a few. That was what we were saying when we lost the 3 games in a row.
Yeah, and then we took a hiatus, and then we came back, and then we took the rest of the hiatus.
Yeah.
Anyway, Wisconsin, God, that was magic.
That was good. Like, you just, if we're just like looking back a bit, and we're at the end of the regular season in football, I think like that was definitely the height of the season. Like, that was incredible. Like, it doesn't matter that Wisconsin only ended up being 6-6. They were ranked at the time. That stadium is intimidating. That town is fun as hell.
It's the Midwest too.
The Midwest is just drinking, and then Wisconsin is like the capital of drinking in the Midwest, and it's just, we got to have Corbell brand, like, what was it? God, Jesus,
it was brandy.
Yep.
Yeah, Katie brought that. That was awesome.
Can barely say it.
I know. I will
just
say.
Trying to chug that. That was the one I don't think we finished. Was the Corbell.
Yeah, I think that was the one thing that was abandoned almost.
That we just kind of chucked in the garbage.
I'm going to say though, one thing I was a little bit surprised about is, so we're at that alumni, the pregame tailgate event, right? It was not really a tailgate. We were in this like conference type situation set up, and I had said to one of you, I can't remember who it was, but I was like, oh, I bet it's going to be really hard to get alcohol here because I am in my early 20s and that's my priority, especially when we're at Coug games. And whoever I said that to was like, no, come on, we're in the Midwest and we're a bunch of Cougs. Like, they should know how stocked up they need to be. And I was correct.
You were correct.
They grossly underestimated who they were dealing with. And it was like a WSU alumni event. So I was like, man, you guys, like, and you're giving us spotted cow. Like, you got, like, we should be on a mountain of spotted cows right now. Like, you guys got to be stocked.
It was funny, like, at the start, it took us so long. You had to wait for, like, 45 minutes to get a drink. And so it was like, everyone come, we're ordering. But that was the problem. Everyone would be like, okay, I have to order the entire bar now. Yeah. Because I was just in line. So that would just make everyone wait. Yeah. Like, and so everyone would be like, okay, we have 8 people that all need 2 drinks. Like, I remember one of the bars went up, 7 spotted cows, please. They're like, okay, those are the last 7. And everyone behind us was a little bit mad. But then by the end of it, you could literally just walk up to the bar and get a drink, and then get another one immediately.
Well, and I will say, I wound up being happy that I didn't even get really too buzzed at that, because I was walking into the game thinking, oh gosh, I'm so sober. I'm going to remember every second of this and I don't know how it's going to go. And then we all walked out being like, thank God we remember that so well. That was awesome.
Yeah, I know. I was so worried that the pregame was just going to be so drunken that we would just kind of barely remember going to the football game. And then, yeah, we have very clear, very sound memories.
What a game to remember.
Win. Yeah.
We jumped around. That was awesome.
Just what an all-around great weekend. I mean,
I took you guys to Sluggers, which is one of the most insane bars in Wrigleyville when we got back. We went to all my little haunts.
Yeah, we went to your bars on the night before. We went to your spot.
And I tried to put you guys in bed at a reasonable time, and I went to bed at a reasonable time, and the next morning, everybody was like, we stayed up way too late. And I was like, guys, I put you in the Uber at like midnight. What are you talking about? And BA goes, well, we got back to a hotel where we were staying at with Craig, so I'll let you imagine how much more drinking we did.
And the bar was we ran down to 7-Eleven, and the guy was like, he looked at us, and he goes, you have 10 minutes until I cannot sell alcohol again anymore. Like, okay, thank you for that. And so we just were grabbing anything we could find.
Yeah, you got to scour sometimes.
And then, like, you know, we were on vacation already.
Yeah.
Like, you hadn't quite started vacation yet. We were already there. You know, we got on the fucking like 6 a.m. flight. Like, I remember me and Katie were booking that together. And we're like, well, this is the cheapest one, and it gives us the most time to, like, you know, Emma to show us around Chicago and stuff on that day there. And we did. We had a lot of time. You know, we got to see where you went to school. We got to see your favorite bars when you went to school. You got to see your favorite bars now. We went to brunch at your favorite brunch spot, like that, you know, whatever, man.
Also,
cool.
I have to say, I've been dying to try the restaurant underneath the bean for forever, and I've never had an occasion to do so.
Yeah.
And then we went the margarita that I was drinking was very strong, and I think I had 2 of them, and I was like, man, I'm a little tipsy at the bean, which has been a lifelong goal of mine.
And then BA and I had to get shots of tequila to catch up to you guys at that point, because you guys were all ordering margaritas, and we just had beer, and we're like, oh shit, we gotta...
I was also eating a salad, which, like, in hindsight was not my smartest idea. I should have gotten, like, a burger, but I was like, ooh, a Caesar salad sounds good, and then I drank the strongest margarita I've ever had in my life.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it was
fantastic.
It was
vibes.
Awesome, just great vibes weekend.
We made some friends in Wisconsin who were like, we're gonna go to the Pullman game, and I'm like, I'll believe it when I see it, but now I don't want to go when you guys go to Wisconsin or when you guys come to Pullman.
Yeah, you should. That'll be crazy because like that.
We should run it back.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we should run it back. I think it's gonna be a crazy crowd because like it's just like we haven't had a non-conference opponent like that in Pullman. Like, we haven't had a Power 5 one since Illinois in like 1997, and they would not be even at the level of Wisconsin, I would say, in terms of like attractive. Like, I mean, now it doesn't seem like Wisconsin will be ranked next year because they went 6-6 this year. So, so that maybe takes some of the luster off, but I think it'll be fun. It'll be fun having the Wisconsin fans.
Show them our
town
with
us. You know, let's. Maybe we could be like, hey, bring some Spotted, bring some Corbell.
I was literally about to say, should I check a suitcase and just fill it with Spotted Cow?
Maybe.
I think that's
maybe Emma,
my best bet, and then I can
mule.
and then I can send it. I can convince my parents to drive up and just send the empty suitcase back down with them.
Yeah.
I think I'm onto something. We'll chat. I'll put it in the Chicago, the Coug State
I
Chicago.
have traveled with suitcases full of beer more than you could even imagine. So
and I can bring some fresh ones. It's the dream. Okay, well we'll make it happen. We'll talk about it tomorrow.
Yeah, you gotta talk to Casey and Patty and get that Wisconsin trip.
Any excuse, if anytime I'm on the West Coast, they're like, where? And they go to there. It's really fun being an only child who moved 1,700 miles away.
I think your dad will go to Pullman if you're going to Pullman.
I mean, twist his arm. You know what I mean?
Yeah, just hates it so much.
Just hates it. Hates hanging out with me.
He's so happy you didn't go there for school. He's just so happy.
It's his biggest joy in life that I. God, he's listening to this. He's probably just chuckling to himself, sitting at the kitchen table.
No, you're coming back for Bryce's 21.
They're coming up for that too.
and I should be going.
You are going.
I know there was a family vacation that I am not fully a part of planning. that I hope is not around the same time, but I really want to go. And
every once in a while, Bryce will send in the next gen chat, oh, I feel like I haven't truly experienced like a real big Pullman hangover. And then Nate and I will talk about the hangovers that you hand deliver us and how they're like no other. And I'm like, Bryce, because also you have to go, because I think it's kind of poetic that I call Bryce my kook little brother and you call me your like kook blog little sister. And we hung out, like the first time I met you was a week after I turned 21. And you were like, it's your 21 run.
Does that also make Bryce my kook little brother if we're all just like, yeah, I had a good.
We're grandfather. Like it's the natural chain of life, you know. So you have to be there to help me hand deliver him such an epic Pullman hangover.
Yeah, and honestly, like, we just do a good job of not only bringing people on, but because Kook Center is not the most lucrative endeavor, we create the culture that people will love. And you know, the people just love hanging around. And I have deemed myself the chief culture officer
confirm
of Kook Center because I don't really write or anything. So I have to have some job.
I call myself the Kook Center personality hire.
Well, there you go.
Like, you know how you have that one person in the office who you're like, we're not really sure what you do, but you, like, everything that you contribute in terms of what work actually needs to get done is always just a little silly. And that's me.
Holy shit, I just saw that. I've seen people tweeting about the Kraken game a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I just saw that they're going into overtime and it's 8-8, which is like an insane hockey game.
I have decided to be a Kraken fan. Here's why.
Hey.
Number one.
Yeah, fuck all. Portland ain't getting a team. Fuck
no, they're
Portland.
not. Which, don't get it. We just lost tonight. We lost tonight, and I did check the score while recording. And if we won, I was going to be like, oh, Craig, the Blazers won, but we did not win. That's fine. I'll recover. They're still having a really killer season. Damian Lillard forever. Moving on. I've decided to be a Kraken fan, mostly because I would like to support more of your regional sports. I know how happy that makes you.
Well, I still need to really get into the Kraken, but they're making it easier this year because they are winning a lot. Like,
yeah,
they did not do that last year, and it was hard to kind of get into it.
My other big number two is my Coug Center dad, Michael. Gosh, no, that's on the internet forever. My other, my second. I know that one I didn't even plan. The Phoenix one I was planning. That one I had rattling around my little head. That one just, I was about to say,
Emma,
oh crap.
Stop. It's fine.
Okay.
Let's move on.
I was just going to say, yeah, go Kraken.
But what were you going to say?
Kraken. My Coug Center dad, Michael Preston, and therefore my mom, Sammy Preston, just got a big job there. So congratulations to them.
Yeah.
Because that's super
Fuck
exciting.
Yeah, Sammy.
And it's good when good people get good jobs.
If you listen to Michael's podcast as well, which if you subscribe to ours and you also subscribe to theirs, and a lot of you probably listen to his long before you listen to ours, on the intro, the female voice that you hear introducing Michael is Sammy. And she also has done some production on that podcast as well, because that is what she is going to do, the director of production. She's a badass. She's very cool.
Yeah, so just full plug for her.
Good job, Sammy. Hell yeah. So
Bryce's 21er, I think, actually circling back to that, I think offers a really excellent kind of transition into the men's basketball season.
Yeah, and I watched a significant portion, almost the entire first half of the WSU Detroit Mercy game with Bryce this past weekend on Friday in Pullman, which was one of the great days of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Like in Pullman, like we should have just not played the football game on Saturday because Friday was fucking perfect.
The vibes were high. I was seeing. I loved it.
I mean, hey, I was only drinking beer. I didn't bring any edibles. The vibes weren't that high. Come on. But Yeah. No, the vibes were good. The vibes were high, as you said. It was a great day. I think we watched the U.S. England, my sister and I, and her husband Mark, and my little niece Iris started. We watched, and then lots of other people at the Coug watching the U.S. soccer match at the Coug, and then we just went on over, watched just WSU annihilate Detroit Mercy. But it was sick. I just got there, and I just went and sat with Bryce and my friend Jamie, who many of you know. Obviously, he writes for Coug Fan. And so we just hung out and got to. Now, there wasn't a lot of people on press row for the Detroit Mercy WSU game. Mm-hmm. I don't think Bryce did either. We did not have press passes, but we just walked right on up there because it was just Jamie up there. But yeah, we got to, so it's funny, if y'all read Bryce's, basketball breakdowns, he knows his shit.
Oh my God.
So
yeah.
It was really fun to just watch the game with him and listen to him analyze everything they're doing. And, it's kind of like watching I like watching football with BA. He just knows what's going on all the time and knows what kind of plays they're trying to run and all this stuff and who fucked up and all that stuff and or who did well and so it's fun. So it was fun. I spent half the game with him and the other half in the beer garden. So
that seems like an excellent ratio.
Yeah, because Bryce cannot yet go into the beer garden.
Soon.
Little. Yeah, soon.
Early February. Soon. I'm definitely not counting it down.
February 11th.
Whatever game because I was super curious about. I really want to go. I'm just so happy that it fell into place like this. Speaking of them taking my personal wants into factoring that in when they're making the schedules, because I'm curious about what it's going to be like to see Noah Williams play this team if he plays.
Yeah, if he's not hurt.
If he's not hurt. Because I am so fascinated by rivalries and the, concepts behind all that and what's that energy going to be like? I simply have to see it. And then Bryce was like, that's the game after my 21st birthday. And I was like, okay, well, now I'm buying flights.
Yeah, now it's oh. And I'm over here just evilest laugh I could think of. Because I know just even bringing Bryce, we've just been warning him so much. You think you've had the worst hangover. It's well, you did go to the Coug with me yet.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how many times, because on your 21st, if there's anything the amount of times I got iced when I was having my bachelor party there, I feel needs to equate to the amount of times that he gets iced on his 21st.
At minimum.
And hey, big Kraken fan Emma, they just won.
Oh, nice.
9-8.
Let's go. I love hockey.
And that is 6 wins in a row for our
That's actually
Kraken.
so awesome.
Yeah.
I do like hockey, actually. I think hockey's super funny.
Super funny. Yeah.
I just think it's funny, the notion of it. You're just slapping a little rock around and hitting each other. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Good for you.
It's one of the biggest sports in the world.
And then they lose teeth and they're I lost some teeth. That's insane.
It's just completely normal not to have teeth.
We've just normalized that. Could not ever be, they're very brave.
Well, it's like if you're a basketball player, your ankles just don't really They just, you roll them constantly and it's just completely normal.
And totally eroding your kneecaps.
It's like skiing or tennis or something. You just don't have you don't have ligaments in your knees anymore. It's just bone on bone. They're just gone.
Yeah.
So what we were talking about was basketball. Yeah, Bryce is 21. That should be fun.
Everyone write that down. Everyone show up, show out. Let's get Bryce a really, really excellent playmaker. Bryce is stop the pod. Cut.
That's basically what happened at my bachelor party.
It was definitely what happened at your bachelor party.
Well, I had multiple people who were are you going to any games? I'm well, I'm definitely going to the Oregon weekend because I'm having my bachelor party. And they're there was people that were invited to the bachelor party technically, and then there was people that were also kind of invited to the bachelor party. And so that grew, that was like a number between 15 and 30 to 40 to 50, I don't even know.
And then my mom came.
Yeah. Yeah, we just had everyone.
We tore it up.
Like pretty much all of Pullman was at my bachelor party. Everyone was invited. Everyone was there. It was good times.
There was such good times. Basketball season has really, I've been, you know, that was the first WSU men's basketball game that I got to see in person. It was excellent experience. But so I have high hopes going into how basketball weekends are going to be. Because it was excellent first time for me.
When I just ordered this sweatshirt. There's like it's kind of this like beer nerd brand called Permanent Hangover, and they release these hoodies every once in a while that say like in like cursive writing on the chest. They say I feel like shit. Mm-hmm. And I meant to order one for Sunday at my bachelor party, but I missed it. I missed that sale. But I got one now. I got a nice gray one. That's going to be my Sunday Pullman hoodie from now on. It's just I feel like shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Written across your chest and visible on your face.
Which I will say, like, the Apple Cup, like, I did fly. That was the first time I've actually flown to a Apple Cup game. Mm-hmm. And not having to drive back 5 hours while extremely hungover was a benefit. That was nice, despite it being in the stupidest plane of all time.
I'm flying in and out for Bryce's birthday.
Oh, you're not driving from Chicago?
No, that would be crazy. That would be so fun. Me again, begging my roommate to borrow his car.
In February? It would not be fun.
No, it would be awful. I would not, my parents would not, everyone would be so concerned. Also, I didn't realize that I had astigmatism for most of my life. It literally, but that would be so dangerous. But I didn't know, I got, like, my eyes checked when I was 19, and that was the first time that we realized I had astigmatism. And my friend sent me this meme one time of how streetlights look when it's raining and you're, wiping and it's super blurry. And I texted her back and I was like, is that not how they always look? And she was like, girl, you've driven me at night so many times. And I'm like, and every time you've lived. But the moral of the story is, should we put me behind the wheel of a car? 100% of the time, maybe not. But you lived when I drove you back from, what weekend was that? Was that it was the spring game.
The spring game.
I drove us home from the spring game.
Yeah, good job.
And the playlist that I was playing went from like very sad to like Rihanna. And you would check in and out of consciousness and be like, what is this? And I'd be like, don't worry about it. Yeah, that was
great. That was a good Pullman drive back because I didn't get to have to do as much. Yeah, so this basketball game on Friday. Wow. So coming off, Jade Mullins coming off 8 threes against Eastern, just was blistering hot, 5 of 5 from 3, just right off the bat. And like they hit 19 threes in total, school record, 19 of 29, 66% from 3. Just good God.
And they were like 77% just general field goals, which was awesome.
Yeah, and then I think you're talking effective field goal percentage right there. Yeah, 1.5 points per possession, which is insane. Like that's just insane. Absolutely insane. Yeah, they were also beyond that, like really impressive defensively. We didn't really talk about him. Jeff and I didn't really talk about, but Antoine Davis is an insanely good basketball player. And he's the leader. He's been a long time. It's Mike Davis's son. For those of you that remember, he coached at Indiana and a few other places. And he's just been truly one of the better players in college basketball for a few years. And he was shut down. He was 5 of 16 from twos. So overall 6 of 19. Only shot 3 free throws. Had an 85 offensive rating, was using a ton of their possessions, and they just totally shut him down. So that, combined with and then, Detroit Mercy was only 37% on twos. That combined, the Eastern game, they had a real low 2 percentage. It's been good to see that the defense for Cougar basketball has actually stepped up, because recently they've been, in the first 4 games they were struggling defensively, but they've really kind of corrected that recently. But then, of course, it's great to go bombs away from 3 as well.
Mm-hmm. I'll never complain about that. I will also say, yeah, I mean, I couldn't really catch a lot of the game because I was working, but I always try to throw the games on when I'm working so I can just take a little peek, and it did not disappoint.
That is nice of being at a Coug-run bar brewery, is that you can always that one, it has Pac-12 network.
Oh, it sure does.
And then 2, you could just always put on the game, and there's not going to be any protest. It's like, well, this is where you were at,
Yeah.
Like, this is.
Well, and we have 9 TVs in our tap room, and we have 2 additional TVs in a back community room that we have. So I'm not hogging any TV by any means. If someone's I'm way over here at the end of the bar, and the fact that you have a game on that I don't care about at the other end is really upsetting me, I can be like, well, just don't look. Your game's right there. Just don't look at it. I would say that nicer to an actual customer, Brent, if you're listening to this. But yeah, it was. I mean, it's fun, and then also I get so into it if it is slow and I get a chance to watch it, and then people who are just sitting at the bar see me getting into it, and so then I get to convert people, which is super fun.
Yeah, exactly. They just become big Coug fans.
That's my goal.
That's the entire goal of all Coug-owned businesses, obviously. But it was a pretty fun game to watch. It's fun when so many different guys get in on it. We had a bunch of
the bench was looking really good.
Yeah, we had a couple walk-ons together. We got 3 minutes in the game, and then Mael, how do you say Amon Crespin? I don't know French, man. I'm sorry, buddy. But he hit 3 threes, looking good. He's the one that got them over the line on the record. We were up at the beer garden. We were tracking the 3-pointers, and we just went crazy when he set the record. It was made it 96-47 or something like that. It was not close, but it was fun. It's fun. TJ was lighting it up from 3. It was nice to see Justin Powell back in a distributor mode. He had 7 assists. So I think, they've kind of maybe, also they've got DJ Rodman back for a couple games. So they're closer to full strength. Still need to get Andre back. Mm-hmm. I know you're missing Andre.
I mean,
of course.
Am I ever? You know me.
Yes.
Oh man. The spring game. Meeting them in the Coug. Yeah, he would have had some pretty great threes, because we talked about that, him and me.
Yeah.
Because we go way back now.
I mean, he'd probably come back, and we got some good 3-point shooters, but he could still be the best one. And TJ is obviously hitting threes like crazy right now, and Jabe is nuclear. But it's crazy. They go from losing obviously the Eastern and Detroit Mercy are not that good, but they've just absolutely obliterated them after losing in bad fashion to a bad Prairie View team. It's nice to see them come back and just obliterate 2 teams that they should, shoot well, play defense well. And now they have coming up, obviously, a huge game. These early conference games that they do now that we've moved to 20 conference games versus 18 is to, they have Oregon coming up on Saturday, Thursday, and then Utah coming up on Sunday. So, Oregon, they are struggling a bit right now. Obviously, people probably look at us and say a similar thing, but they, as they typically do in the early season, kind of struggle a bit. They did get a nice win over Villanova, who is actually not – Villanova's not as good as they normally are. They've also had quite a difficult schedule. They play Houston and UConn and Michigan State. So, I think some of the stuff is a little overblown about them struggling, but
everyone gets so dramatic about Oregon always. No one can just have a rational opinion about any University of Oregon sport across the board.
Yeah.
And that's coming from a person who grew up in Oregon.
Yeah. It's obviously that's accelerated in your lifetime. since Phil Knight started giving all that money to them. Their expectations have taken quite. I mean, and plus, the program has went to a couple. Had made some real nice runs recently, Final Fours and such. But yeah, it's. But
they're never. People aren't ever just like, oh, Oregon's okay. Like if people say Oregon's okay, everybody is like everything's on fire. It's like relax.
Yeah. But that being said, it's definitely a winnable game for Wazoo. Like more than I would have thought at the start of the year, especially after we lost Prairie View A&M. But I think Oregon's going to have a couple guys out. Obviously, it sounds like Andre's not going to be back for this one. But there's definitely a winnable game. It's a Dana Alba team. I don't know what to say. Like they haven't done anything particularly well this year. They usually play decent defense. They're usually a good offensive team. They'll crash the offensive glass. That's kind of one thing they do well. They have some good shot blockers on the team, so they make it tough to finish in the lane. That could be tough for our front line, which is obviously thinned out. Kind of Mo's been holding it down there. So we'll see. It's definitely a very different lineup. It's going to be a lot bigger lineup that WSU is used to facing. Interesting fact: WSU on KenPom is number one Oregon on KenPom is number one in average height in the entire country. They're going to roll out a lineup where there's not really. It's going to be 6'5", 6'8", 7 foot, 6'11", 6'6", like just big guys all over the court. So it'll be interesting to see how WSU adjusts to that. They've been playing some smaller lineups recently. So I'll be interested to see if they, maybe Adrame gets some more time, if Mael gets some more time, just to kind of to combat the size of Oregon.
We've got quite a bit of like 6'5", 6'6", 6'7" guys too.
Yeah, because where we're lacking a bit this year versus previous years is that top end, like where we had like last year where you had F.A. and Deshaun and Mo. Well, now you have Mo and Drame and you have Mael, so we still have the size, but they're just not quite as experienced.
Yeah. Well, I watched the Kyle Smith press conference. He didn't seem too worried about like Mo specifically going up against Oregon. He thinks it's going to be a pretty good matchup. I did a little bit of Jeff in that one, and I watched the press conferences. So ode to Jeff. But yeah, he said he wasn't too worried and that he thinks it's going to be a good matchup. So I think it'll be fun.
Yeah, should be fun. Hopefully we get the WSU of the last two games and not of the 2 games before that. I do think like DJ missed those 2 games, and when you're down that many of your guys that you meant to have on your team, like it's going to be bad. And plus DJ is just one of those guys, like maybe he doesn't do a lot like in terms of like stats and things like that, but the coaching staff loves him. They love plus minus, and he always seems to have good plus minus. Given what they did in the 2 games when he was gone and what they've done in the 2 games back, I'm sure his plus minus is looking very good right now. So it's interesting. Like, so it's good to have DJ back. It'll be really good to get Andre back. And then on Sunday, not sure if Andre's going to play that one or not. I'm guessing not if he's not going to play against Oregon. But WSU then hosts Utah. I wish this game was on Saturday. I think more people would have tried to go. Although maybe tougher because it's a weekend after Apple Cup. But this game definitely winnable for WSU. Utah, WSU currently 60 and Utah 63 on KenPom. So it's, in terms of KenPom prediction, very close. WSU slight advantage there. But Utah, very good defense right now. Of course, they've not played like an insane schedule by any stretch. They played Mississippi State and Sam Houston State, and they lost to both of them. But so those have been their biggest games. But they've played well on defense so far. That could be tough. In terms of 3-pointers, they kind of limit threes pretty well. It'll be an interesting matchup. They've been really, really good shutting down the inside, only giving up 38% on twos. So, and the WSU hasn't been particularly good finishing inside. So it'll be interesting. Both these games, WSU is going to have to hit threes again. Like I think that's just going to be something that happens all season. The good thing is they have a lot more shooters than they have had in seasons past, especially once Andre comes back. But so hopefully, Utah doesn't force very many turnovers at all. So WSU can have an efficient game, not have turnovers, hit some threes. That's what we're going to look for against Utah. But yeah, it should be a good matchup. I think WSU has a legit chance to get both these games, and I would hope that they get at least one. But I think that Oregon game, it should be a quad one win, or a quad one opportunity, because it's a road game, true road game. So that's after losing to Prairie View, this becomes a huge game in terms of if you still have aspirations for the NCAA tournament. So, but Oregon's looking a little more beatable, but I still don't think they'll still be in that like top 75, which is for road games, top 75 in net. So it should end up at the end of the year being a quad one game. So it would be huge if they get this win. The Utah game won't be a quad one; it'll be a quad two. But still, it's still important to not lose those games as much. So it's a big weekend, big weekend, kind of in the middle of your non-conference. They throw these conference games now, and both of them are big games for WSU if they want to get back on track after kind of stumbling early.
Once I read Bryce's write-ups, I will be able to talk like that also. I just want everyone to know. Also, Craig, the day that you've been longing for, I feel, is rapidly approaching, and I'm going to be asking you, maybe not tomorrow, maybe not the day after, but sometime soon, to explain KenPom to me. Like, truly, truly explain it to me. And this is a journey that you've been trying to take me on for many, many moons, and I think I'm finally ready. Because I sent you and Jeff this meme one time of you guys were tweeting very stressfully about KenPom, and it was that, like, it's those guys sitting on the bus, and one half of the bus is, like, in gray, and it's all dark, and the guy's staring at the window, and he's sad, and then the other half is it's in color, and the guy's all happy, and he's staring at this beautiful, landscape, and I edited text onto it of Jeff and Craig sitting in the dark gray part, and it was knowing what KenPom is, and then me sitting in the little happy part, not knowing what KenPom is. But I think I'm finally ready to join you guys.
Yeah, well, we'll schedule a time to get you in on the KenPom.
I'll have a pen and paper. I'll be ready. I'll be such a good little student.
You're only like 14 years behind. It's fine.
I know, but hey, I can catch up.
Yeah, of course. We're always happy, to bring you up to speed on current basketball analytics.
Well, and
they're not even like advanced anymore. It's just like the normal stuff that people use.
Yeah, but even that, it's just a lot of numbers, so I can't wait to learn. So for those of you who I feel like everybody who listens to this, like, also knows what KenPom is, so maybe I'm just talking into nothing. But one day I'll be one of you, and it's going to be glorious.
Yeah, it'll be good. So one thing I wish that KenPom had was a women's equivalent. But he says like there's kind of, it would be like a different formula because of just how things shake out. So he'd have to like make a whole different formula for it. But
well, maybe now that he knows that I'm interested in caring, maybe he'll put some effort in. Ken, if you're listening.
Yeah. Ken has been on this podcast before, but I do not think he listens to it.
Well, that's fair. Maybe he and I just need to have a little chat. If he tells me I have friends who code. We can make it happen, Ken. You and me. Shoot me an email. Let's get the girls in. Let's go, girls.
Yeah, that would be sick. But yeah, the women who had a real nice win just yesterday, Monday, as of when we're recording this, yesterday. Against
it's Wednesday
South Dakota
for me
State.
right now, but yes.
It is. South Dakota State, the Jackrabbits, who are supposed to be a really good team. So by the end of the year, this should be a very good win. They started out real poorly. South Dakota State got up 14-3, and then WSU just completely locked down and destroyed them after that. It was they ended up winning 61-41. That was even after like South Dakota State hit a 3 right at the end to pull it back a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's a real nice win because for most of the game, Charlize wasn't really doing much offensively. And there's definitely been a lot of times in the past where if Charlize does not play well offensively, then this team just doesn't do well. And
It's
overall,
felt, yeah.
Charlize did not have a good game. Like, she didn't get to double figures until like 2 minutes left, really. She got to 13. She had 5 turnovers. She didn't shoot that well, 4-13, 1 of 5 from 3. But then there's just more players that could pick up the offensive slack. You have obviously Johanna Tedder. She's been there for a while. She can have big games. She had a big game here, 17. And only 1 turnover. Bella has really taken a step forward.
Mm-hmm. Double for Bella.
Yeah. But she's had multiple this year already. And she's taken a step forward in kind of her consistency or aggressiveness. I know that's something they've been preaching with her for years, is like to be aggressive, to be to give maximum effort, and I think really you're seeing a different Bella, and just her ability, her passing ability, her ability in the post, like, has been really impressive so far this year. And then Tara Wallach just has really taken a step forward on her finishing. She had 10, to round out the Cougs. That was most of the scoring for them, those players.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just nice to see, you can have Tara step in, Bella step in when Charlize isn't having her best day. And then the defense is there and you just completely annihilate a pretty good team.
Oh, yeah. It's always fun. They're so fun to watch. Oh, they're just so fun.
And what do you have any, you have little tidbits? Or, since you're the, you're filling in for Jeff and being the watching the press conferences. What anything interesting that Cammie had to say?
I mean, any excuse for me to listen to Cammie talk, I'm down. Like, I was already watching her. Admittedly, I watch hers pretty often. I just she's just like, I just like her. Like, I feel like she and I would be friends. But also, I feel like our friendship would largely consist of me just listening to her, which would be fun. But yeah, she was really impressed with Bella's passing, and her control and not needing to like play fast and loose. And then they were adjusting really well to double teaming, she thought, and like focusing on getting up against like the posting from South Dakota State, and like being able to play through that and being present with the ball is really exciting. So yeah, it was just awesome. But also she's so humble. So she was like, well, we're still going to be on Bella about, because like nothing's perfect yet. Like, we're not going to act like, she's very good at compartmentalizing, I feel like, with the compliments, and also with the, like, we're not just going to act like we can't ever improve. Which I feel like is a good balance to have when you're a coach.
Yeah, no, if you've ever like been to a game and you watch Cammie on the sideline, it's definitely Bella is the player that drives her nuts the most.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just what, some coaches, you just pick, you have certain players that you just know that they have a ton of potential, and you kind of just want to make sure that you hammer into them that they can reach that potential. And I think sometimes that's what it is with Bella, and we're seeing Bella step up her game a lot this year, which is nice. So they have one more game this week on Friday against Montana. It's definitely a game they should win, and then they go to. It's weird. Next week they play Portland, which is weird in this day and age. And there's definitely some coming up where there's like no TV listed, and that's even on the women's games. That's weird these days to not see that happening.
Yeah.
But Montana, it's going to be in Pullman, so nice thing with the Pac-12. If it's on a Pac-12 campus, they're always going to have like it on a live stream, and that's what it'll be on Friday. So yeah, they're sitting at 5-1. Really nice start to the season for them, and they have a real chance to finish strong in this non-conference. And then, of course, the one conference game on December 11th against Washington at Washington, which is kind of weird that they just do the one early one.
Are you gonna go?
So yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think I
Nice.
will. We'll go with some friends. Take B. And we'll have a good time.
B.
Take her to as I've taught her to refer to. We'll take her to the bad place.
Yeah.
And yeah,
She's so iconic.
yes, of course.
Big fan.
So now going back to the Friday in Pullman, the most important Apple Cup event of the weekend was between the number 25 WSU Cougars and the number 24 UW Huskies on the volleyball court in front of, I believe, possibly the biggest crowd in WSU volleyball history.
That's what I was seeing.
It was packed. Like there was just people standing everywhere. Like it was crazy. Like apparently I had a friend who had some season tickets, and the two people that usually sit with him weren't there, and so Steph and I sat by him. Apparently, Charlize and some of the other basketball players took our spot. So, public service that we provided for them.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was WSU. They lost to UCLA early in the week, but they came back. A UW team that have swept them in Seattle earlier this year, and they put it on them. Two really close, some really close sets to start. That UW actually had match points on, and they fought them off, and they came back and won. It was really fun to watch. My sister was loving it. She played volleyball in high school. I could see her just like missing volleyball.
Yeah.
And so that I know she's like been like, oh, I want to get back into it. It sounds great. But yeah, it was really fun to see that. It was such a great atmosphere just to see them. And I know the volleyball players, I think they got some energy from that. Because it was so great there. I know my friend that goes to, most every game, Andrew. He said like he was just so excited about how intense the crowd was. People were cheering and screaming and yelling, and so that was super fun to beat you. We got to do Dubs down, get beating you Dub.
That
Dubs
video of you and Steph on Twitter.
Yeah. And then,
you guys were in unison too. Was that planned, or is that just like sibling?
No, that was just, we just do that. That just happens. But yeah, we got on, apparently on Pac-12 Network as well, with our Dubs down. So that was good. Definitely sent someone sent at me on Twitter with a screenshot of that, which is now my cover photo, on Twitter. So yeah, it was, that was super fun. So like Friday in Pullman was awesome. Like that was a super fun time.
Was there even a Saturday?
I don't even know. Like there was,
I don't recall one.
I definitely did some things on Saturday. There's like a 4-hour window that I'm just like, I don't know what happened. I don't know.
Yeah.
But when we did some, just Dubs down all night, good times. To sweep you Dub. And then on Sunday, they got the NCAA tournament selection, and WSU for the 7th consecutive time headed to the tournament. They have a 7th seed, and they're playing UNLV. I believe on Saturday. No, what day was it on? Or was it on Thursday? Shoot, probably should. Let me confirm this. Get on the sports here. Sports and volleyball schedule.
December 1st at 5.
Okay, yeah, so Thursday.
Yeah, game can be found on ESPN Plus.
Yeah, so ESPN Plus, if you have that, check out the volleyball opening round or first round matchup.
And if you have ESPN Plus, please let me hack you so I can watch it.
Yeah, of course.
Sharing is caring.
At Emma with your ESPN Plus.
Sharing
passwords.
is caring.
Yeah, I'm using Jeff's ESPN Plus password.
Jeff.
Thank you, Jeff.
I've stolen your spot on the podcast. Could I borrow your ESPN login? No, I'm kidding. Yeah. And he's getting his spot back. I'm just keeping his seat warm.
They're playing down in San Diego, and so if they win, it's likely that they'll play the number 2 seed University of San Diego in the second round, which is a tough draw. But, could be worse. They could be playing a 1 seed in the second round if they get by. But I would love to tell you everything about UNLV, but I can't tell you a single thing about UNLV. Otherwise, they are unseeded, and WSU should be the better team. But neutral site should be too big. It's like a 7-10 game in the NCAA tournament for the basketball. So just think of it that way. It should be a close fought match. But they've went to the second round pretty consistently, and then hit the Sweet 16 once recently as well. So hopefully they could do that again. And then just really just to go 7 consecutive NCAA tournaments is so impressive, and you just don't see WSU programs like have that sort of sustained success. So it's been really impressive what Jen Grady and staff have done, bringing in good players consistently, and then the players like Pia and Magda, who have been here for a few years, just continually to be better and better. And it's been fun. It was really fun to watch in person, and catch them on. It'll lead right into the basketball game. I think that's at 7:30, so you can watch a little volleyball, and then you can watch a little hoops. So quite a day on Thursday night.
What else are you doing? You know what I mean?
Hey, you got nothing better to do. Come on.
There is nothing better.
Yeah, so I guess, like, Emma, this is the time when I look at my email and see if anyone has sent me a question. I have one that we actually missed last week. And this is from Brendan. He said that Jeff mentioned that it's likely Justin Powell moves on after this year. Did I miss something? Why would he move on? So just that's been kind of the general feeling with Justin Powell, is that he transferred here to kind of have a chance to play consistently a lot, because his previous stops, he wasn't getting quite the play time that he wanted. So there's a potential, if he really explodes, he could be looking at some sort of professional contract, or just the way things are now, if he really explodes, there's going to be other programs that will be wanting, a guard like that can shoot, that can pass. So that is why I think, just speaking for Jeff, is why he may be thinking that it's likely that Powell will just have him for this one season. So that's your answer, Brandon. Hopefully, he could go off and then we could keep him. But this is just kind of the new basketball, the world that we're living in with the transfer portal and NIL and stuff. It's just that players are going to, often be 1 to 2 year players versus 3 to 4, 5 year players. So that's just how it is. We're going to have to get used to it. And at least the hoop staff has been pretty good about reloading talent every year to kind of sustain some things. But yeah, that's just kind of where we're at. So, Emma, this is the part where we say our social medias and all that. So where could they find you? Obviously, Emma writes. She writes our Friday post on Coug Center. It's usually the funniest thing. You'll read about WSU all week. But where else could they find you, Emma?
I can be found on most social medias at Emma Weightwoman, because my last name is Weightman, but I took a fun little play on it, so it's just Weightwoman, like WEI. Weightwoman, yeah, that's me. Craig, where can they find you?
Oh yeah, so obviously I'm at the Craig Powers on Twitter, Craig W Powers on other things. So with that, we always say at the end, Emma, we say, go Cougs.
Go Cougs.
You know what else we say?
Drink beer.
Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter.
And get fucking vaccinated. You could still do that.
Yeah, and it's booster season, too.
Boosters, baby.
And get your flu shot.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a nationwide shortage on Theraflu, so if I want to check out getting that shot, because you have Theraflu soon. But anyways, yeah, thank you everyone. Jeff should be back next week, and we'll see you soon.